Hi and welcome to a new video on my channel. Today I want to show you how to square one of these circles that you make with Tunisian crochet with a regular hook. I have a separate video on this channel on how to make one of these circles, and if you want to, you can use these to make a blanket. You can make these in any kind of yarn. For example, I made mine in cotton so that the baby blanket that I made from these circles is easy to wash by the recipients of the blanket. You can also use acrylic or wool or bamboo mix with acrylic, which is perfect for babies. The choice is yours. Just make sure that you use the proper hook size for your circle. For example, for this yarn, which is between a size 2 and 3, almost size 3 or DK weight, I used a 5mm hook for the circle. If you use thicker yarn, you should use a slightly bigger hook. I don't recommend making these in much smaller yarn because it will take a whole lot of time to make them. In this video, I want to demonstrate two ways of squaring these circles. One of them uses regular crochet stitches, this one, the yellow one, and one of them uses Tunisian crochet stitches. The second one, I already have a video that shows you something similar with a much bigger circle, the sun square, and we will be using the same kind of technique for squaring this circle as well. I will be using two colors that go with this green just to demonstrate the two different techniques so you don't confuse them. You will also need a hook. For each of these techniques you need a different hook. For the regular crochet you need a smaller hook, and for the Tunisian crochet you need the same hook that you use to make the middle part. You also need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle to finish off the square. There is a full written pattern for this baby blanket on my different shops, so you can get the PDF if you want to support me in making more videos and more accessible patterns for people all around the world, or if you want to have the template to color in or to choose some colors for your blanket. There are links in the description to all my shops where you can get the PDF for this pattern, and now we can begin. I will start with the regular crochet squaring, and we put a slip knot on the hook. We begin with a loop with the tail on top. Insert your fingers through the loop and pick up one loop. Put it on the hook and pull to close it up. Then we yarn over twice over the hook, holding on to the tail, and we insert the hook into one of these side stitches. Each of these we will consider one stitch. If you are to look at the circle from the side, you will see that the edge looks like the side of regular crochet. So we will insert the hook into one of these, picking up the third loop as well on the back. We pick up a loop, and then we yarn over, pull through 3 times, and this is a standing treble crochet. Then we yarn over twice and put one more treble crochet in the same space, and one more time in the same space. So we have 3 treble crochet stitches in one stitch. Then we have 2 extended double crochet stitches in the next space, so we yarn over once. Insert the hook into the space, picking up the third loop. Pick up a loop, chain 1, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to make the extended double crochet stitch, and one more in the same space. Next we will make 4 double crochet stitches, always picking up the third loop. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we have 2 extended double crochet stitches in the next stitch. And 3 treble stitches in the next stitch. We chain 2 and we repeat this all around. 3 trebles, 2 extended double crochet stitches, 4 double crochet stitches, 2 extended double crochet stitches in the same stitch, 3 trebles in the same stitch. So we have 3 trebles in the next stitch, then 2 extended double crochet stitches in the next stitch, 4 double crochet stitches, two extended double crochet stitches in the next stitch, and 3 trebles in the next stitch. Chain 2 and repeat this around. When you reach back to the beginning of the row, you slip stitch into the first stitch, and you can also go behind the third loop here to make sure the slip stitch is very secure. And then you chain 1 and make a single crochet stitch in the same space. Then go around with single crochet stitches in each of these stitches. And now you don't need to work in the third loop on the back. You only do that when doing the slip stitch at the end of the row, because the beginning loop of the standing treble is usually a bit loose, so you might get a hole there if you don't use the third loop. So you single crochet across, and when you reach the chain 2 space, you make 1 single crochet, then chain 2, and then 1 single crochet in the chain 2 space. This preserves the nice square corner. Then continue with single crochet stitches in each of the stitches on this side until the end of the row, and so on until you reach back to the beginning of the row. When you're back to the beginning of the row, you set the square aside and cut off the yarn, leaving a tail that you'll be able to weave in. Then you pull on the tail and pass it through the eye of the tapestry needle. And then you create an invisible join here by going with the needle from the back to the front under the second stitch, and then back through the last stitch and to the back of the work. This creates a fake stitch on top of the first stitch of this row, and it's an invisible join that will allow you to seam up the edge nicely when it comes to that. On the back of the work, then you weave in the ends. And then you cut off the excess. And that's your finished square. Now you can seam this up with all the other squares that you have. And I have put a link in the description and in the cards on how to seam these squares together using a very simple method that creates a flat seam, which I also used in the blanket. To do the Tunisian crochet squaring, I will use the blue yarn and the same hook size that I used for making the circle. We will begin just as before in any one of these stitches on the side. First we put a slip knot on the hook and pull to close it up. And then we slip stitch into one of the stitches, making sure we pick up the third loop as well. That's the slip stitch, and then we begin the Tunisian crochet version of this squaring. We chain 1 and we pick up 1 loop in the back bump of this chain. This counts as the first Tunisian simple stitch, and then we go back into the same space where we did the slip stitch and pick up a loop. This is to do the return pass. Then we yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. This is the end of the first row, and if you look at the stitch, it looks almost like a double crochet stitch. We continue with one simple stitch, and then pick up a loop in the next stitch on the side of the circle. Then do the return pass, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Next we pick up one simple stitch and we make one stitch in the horizontal bar between the current stitch and the side of the work. And then we pick up one loop in the next stitch, and this way we have one extra stitch on this row. Then we yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return, and we have increased. We repeat this by increasing one at the end of the next row. So we have 2 simple stitches, then we make one in the horizontal space, and we pick up one loop in the side, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Next we have 3 simple stitches, and we begin turning the corner. So instead of picking up a loop in the side here, we will be working in the air. We yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Next we have 2 simple stitches, and yarn over, pull through 2 twice, and the last row is 1 simple stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we chain 1, and now we are turning the corner and making the first row by picking up a loop in the back bump of this chain. That's the first Tunisian simple stitch, and then we need to anchor this row to something. So we will anchor it in the diagonal bar here on this row with 1 Tunisian simple stitch. So we go into the diagonal, pick up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and this is the end of the first row after turning the corner. On the next row we have 1 simple stitch. We make 1 stitch in the horizontal bar here between the current stitch and the diagonal space, where we will pick up the last loop for our return pass. So we have now 2 simple stitches, and we pick up a loop in the diagonal from the next row. Then we yarn over, pull through 2 3 times to return to the beginning of the row. And we have to do this one more time. So we have 2 simple stitches, make 1 in the horizontal bar, and now we pick up a loop in the diagonal, but at the same time we pick up the same loop through the next stitch on the base. So we insert the hook through the diagonal, and we also insert the hook through the stitch, picking up the 3rd loop as well, and then through these 2 we pick up 1 loop. You should have 5 loops on the hook now. Yarn over, pull through 2 4 times to return to the beginning of the row, and we have turned the corner. Next we have 1 simple stitch and 1 Tunisian simple stitch 2 together, so we insert the hook under the next 2 vertical bars, yarn over, pick up a loop, then we pick up a loop in the next stitch on the side of the circle and do the return pass. Next we have 1 more decrease, that's Tunisian simple stitch 2 together, and pick up a loop in the next stitch. Then yarn over, pull through 2 twice, and we have 1 simple stitch. This is 1 corner, and you need to repeat this 3 more times. So you have 2 rows with 1 simple stitch, then you have an increase, increase, turn the corner, decrease, decrease, and 2 rows with 1 simple stitch. I will demonstrate this repeat one more time. So we have 1 simple stitch, finish the row, 1 simple stitch, finish the row, then 1 simple stitch, make 1, finish the row, two simple stitches and make 1, finish the row. Next we are turning the corner, so we pick up 3 simple stitches and we do a short row return, so we yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row, 2 simple stitches, we return, 1 simple stitch, we return, and chain 1. We pick up 1 loop in the back bump of the chain and 1 loop in the diagonal, yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Next we have 1 simple stitch, make 1 in the horizontal bar and pick up 1 loop in the diagonal. Yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. And next we have 2 simple stitches, make 1 and pick up 1 loop in the diagonal and the next stitch on the circle. Then yarn over, pull through 2 to the beginning of the row to return. Next 1 simple stitch, 2 together, pick up 1 loop on the side of the circle, return, then 2 together, pick up a loop on the side and return, and then 1 simple stitch, pick up a loop on the side and return. Repeat this around and I will meet you back at the beginning of the row. When you reach back to the beginning, you slip stitch into the top of the first stitch, taking the 3rd loop as well, like we did for the other type of squaring. And then we make single crochet stitches all around to make this sit a bit flatter. So we chain 1, we'll make 1 single crochet stitch in the first stitch and all the way to the corner. Now you don't really need to work in the 3rd loop as well. In the corner space here, where the chain 1 was, we put 1 single crochet stitch, chain 2, and 1 single crochet stitch. This will make sure that we have a nice corner for the square. Then we continue with single crochet stitches all around until we reach the next corner and we put 1 single crochet stitch, chain 2, 1 single crochet stitch in the corner space, and so on. When you reach back to the beginning, you cut the end, leaving a long tail of about 20 centimeters or 8 inches, and then pull the end through the last stitch. Then you take your tapestry needle, put the yarn through the needle, and then you turn the square to look at it from the side, and you create a fake stitch here by going from the front under the first stitch here and back through the last stitch. This creates an invisible join here on the edge, and when you join the different squares together, you will have a nice edge here to work into. Now we still need to join these two parts of the squaring. So we go from the back towards the front through the fabric and coming up from below this horizontal bar. Then we go under the horizontal bar on the other side, here, and pull to close the gap. Then we go back into the fabric, and on the other side we will weave in the ends. I have a separate video that shows you how to weave in ends in Tunisian crochet, so I will link that if you want to see how to do it correctly, and you can use the same technique for many different Tunisian crochet projects. After the ends are woven in, this is what the square will look like. In the beginning it will be a bit wobbly, but when you sew it down into the blanket it will become flat, especially after you wash the fabric. You can block the individual squares, but I don't bother with that. So now you can sew this one to the other squares made with the same technique. You could sew it to the other type of square, but then you have to take into account that there are different numbers of stitches on the two different squares. This one has more stitches, the regular crochet one. Now you should choose which method you like best to make your own squares. I actually prefer the one with regular crochet stitches because it's much faster. But depending on the type of yarn that you're using, the Tunisian crochet one might be more suited. So try both of them and decide which one you like. They should both make the same size of square, more or less, just 1 millimeter of difference maybe. And you can even use these as coasters if you don't want to make a blanket. They would be very cute. Or you can seam them up in a cute washcloth and add a simple border, and they would make a very pretty present. Now I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to know when I publish more videos, more tutorials, the next vlogs in the Crochet Along With Me series. And if you want to find out news about events and new patterns, make sure you subscribe to my email updates, which I send out usually once a week. So I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!